Hello and welcome in. I am Miss Kinghorn and we are back here in Red Lane Zoo. Still not happy with that name. Anyway, we are back here in Red Zoo working on another habitat for this, and this time we are working on the Collared Peccary. These animals came in the, I think, the birthday update that we had a couple of months ago now, and this is actually my first time building with them as well, so very excited to build for them in here. But yes, we are jumping straight into the hard shelter over here as well for them, which in there. But I hope everybody had a very nice Christmas and are enjoying your Boxing Day. Does anybody else like celebrate or mark Boxing Day? I feel like it's a very sort of British thing. I don't know, let me know in the comments down below. Do you celebrate it, mark it? Do you do anything for it? I feel like it's just like a second Christmas. I mean, I'm having another like Christmas dinner. Admittedly this time we're having a different kind of meat. So yesterday we had turkey, and then today we have beef, which I feel like is pretty normal. I don't know, it feels like that's what we have every year. But let me know what you do. Do you celebrate it? Do you mark it? Do you do anything? I feel like it used to be for like all of the sales and stuff. They always used to be on like Boxing Day for like your big shops. Now I feel like we have sales all year round, and because I mean we never used to have like Black Friday or like none of that used to exist, and the company, whatever company it is, would always wait until like Boxing Day or the day after Christmas to sort of have their big sales, and then they would just like offload all of like the stock that they've not really sold. Now I feel like it's slightly different, because we do have those sort of sales in like mid-November, early December, and then like if they're not getting enough sort of customers or money in, then they just continue to roll on the sales throughout. So I don't know if it's kind of lost its sort of what it would normally have. I don't know, but let me know down in the comments if you sort of celebrate or mark it or do anything different for it into there. But anyway, back to this hard shelter in here. So this actually is an extension of the hard shelter that we built last time for the Red River Hogs in there, and we did say that it was going to be upgraded, sort of improved, scaled up into there. And at the end of last week's, I said I've actually changed the size of it because I didn't like it, it was too big. Well, this time, because we have the keeper hut in here, it has to be at that 4 meter mark, which is very annoying because I wanted this to all be the same size and now it's not. So yeah, fun and games into here, but we do keep it very much the same as the original, just a little bit taller, and we will be adding a third habitat sort of to this cluster. So this is in sort of a grouping of 5 in here. There's going to be like 3 sort of large habitats that are all kind of like interconnected, as it were, with this sort of big hard shelter area, and then you have 2 sort of on the outskirts at the other end, really, to where we're working at the moment, but they will be coming later on. I will let you guess down in the comments as to what the next habitat is going to be. We have the Red River Hog and we have the Collared Peccary in here, so yeah, what do you think the next one's going to be? Now this zoo is actually based in North America, but it is going to have kind of a mix of animals from North America, South America, sort of Europe, with a few little hints of Asia in there as well. Obviously we do have the red-crowned cranes in here too, so yeah, it's kind of a mixture of all different animals, but they are mostly sort of going to be North American and South American animals. into here. Now we are working off of a plan. Now I'm not going to tell you the zoo because I'm not doing a recreation. I'm just kind of loosely basing it off of the map of this zoo into here, which is why we kind of have these 3 habitats. I do actually think it's 4. I have to be fair, I think there is originally 4 habitats in here, but size-wise we just could not get them in, so I've gone for 3 in here and then 2 on the outskirts, which, yeah, I think works out pretty well into here as well. Let me know what you think. And yeah, this building is pretty consistent, so we're going to see this sort of wooden sort of pieces coming in here, and as per usual I show you a little bits and little hints of it, and then I do kind of cut out a lot more because otherwise we'll be here until next Christmas with all of this into here. So I think we see this side here and then not the rest of it in there. Now because obviously the door is coming on this side, it has to increase in its size, but it still kind of has that same sort of look in here, and we do cover at least the sort of doors so it doesn't look too bad in there as well. Now lighting wise, this is pretty dark over here and I do apologize for that. It's just the way that the world is and where it's placed in the zoo. I would have liked to have sort of changed it, but I felt like because it's a staff area it doesn't really matter too much, because you're not going to spend any time in here for like screenshots or doing anything like that. There's nothing exciting happening on this side, whereas I think the animals are the main point of any sort of zoo, and we kind of want those to be more in the sun, more sort of lit up as well. So that's kind of what I was going to try and do. And yeah, the doors don't match the size of the doors, and this is one thing I've said right from the very beginning, that the doors for like the keeper huts or any of the staff buildings aren't the same size as any of the doors we have in game. I don't know why that became a thing, and why they're not. I would like to sort of see them changed, but I don't know how you would do that, if that makes any sense to anyone. I feel like they need to kind of be the same sort of size into here. But anyway, back to this build. I've been rambling for way too long in here. So this actually has 2 sort of pens in here. One is just pretty much a sort of straight line. They can access all of that. There is some enrichment, there's bedding and things like that in here. And then the other one is slightly bigger, so that if they did want to kind of separate them for anything, that they've got options in here. Now I don't tend to create separation pens, maybe for some of the larger animals or something, or maybe more of the dangerous kind of animals, that's something we can do. But I felt like these all kind of live in like family groups and things like that, that I felt that being all together would actually be better rather than sort of separating them up into sort of different groups into there. So that's kind of why we've done this. It's a sort of a softer kind of way of doing it rather than anything else in there. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. And yeah, it's a very simple little fence. It's the same fence that we used next door as well, but it just works out really, really well. And then I realise I have placed it in the wrong plug, so we end up having to move it because it clips in with the doors. And this is the little gate that we get in to here. It's nothing sort of too special. I feel like you would be able to just step over this fence anyway, but I did want it to maybe, if you needed to put like a wheelbarrow or some like bedding in and stuff like that, you can obviously open this up. At least in your mind's eye, that's how it works into here. And trying to come up with a lock or a way to sort of keep this sort of shut in here, because otherwise the animals won't just be able to push it open or something. So yeah, we create a nice little lock into here, and then I do bring that over to the other side as well to kind of create the other pen. But yeah, just to save time. And talking of time, ta-da, the fence is all done. If you haven't seen how this fence is all built, do check it out the last video in there, because I show you sort of how I build all of this fence and stuff like that. Now I do kind of have created fences and rock walls and things like that, and you'll sort of see them over time into there, and this is just one of them. This is actually using the temple piece, but it works out really well for sort of these little pieces. Now I really struggled with how to get these to work. It was kind of an odd little area. The fence didn't work going around there, so I ended up having to sort of use these pieces, which I was originally going to use as like little walls in sort of the habitat or in the back of the habitat, but they actually look pretty good here and kind of separate bits up, and you can kind of see I'm manipulating and changing some of them in here just to make it a little bit taller, and it's actually kind of creates a really nice sort of break from that fence as well, so you can not necessarily see through it, but you will be able to sort of walk around it and then have more vantage point from elsewhere. That's kind of what I wanted into here, to kind of break up this fence and this little wall in here. Now we do use the fence actually for some planters as well. You'll sort of see those in the screenshots later on as well in there. Right. Okay. So yeah, I create this kind of one in here, and then I kind of just copy it over to the other one. Now the fencing didn't really work in here, hence why we've kind of got these little gaps, but I think this whole sort of area works out really well, and it kind of divides where you can look sort of, and that's what I want. I want sort of vistas, and I want areas where you can see the animals, and then areas where you can't and you have to kind of move around for them. That's kind of what I wanted for these little areas in here. Now as per usual, I do this little section here, and then I'm going to cut it out and we start back at the beginning. Now I do go all the way along, all the way around with all of the planting, but because we'd be here until next Christmas if I kept up with that, I just sort of changed this around a little bit. Now this is actually slightly larger than the one next door. I didn't particularly like the one next door because you can just sort of see here, it kind of has these little V's of where the terrain is, and I couldn't change it. So this one is a little bit bigger. I think it's probably about 1 meter deeper in here, which poses a bit of a problem when I come to planting because it's a little bit wider in here, and you can obviously get more plants in, which means it's a little more dense, but there are areas of low planting in here. Now all of these plants are planting that we've used elsewhere, so we kind of have the buffalo grass, the saltworth, sort of lots of palms, and yuccas and stuff like that in here as well, which I think work out really, really well, just to kind of create that really nice lush sort of look we're going for, and obviously native to the North American biome that we're working in for this zoo. Now the map that I'm working off of actually has water in all of sort of these three, at least these three habitats have a little water pool in, and so that's what we're kind of creating in here. You could have seen the drain was dipped down, and that's because I kind of worked out where I really wanted all of the sort of water to be in here, and we sort of kind of create this little rock sort of basin for the bottom here, and then we kind of expand on that a little bit over time because we get other enrichment and stuff in that works with it in here. Now changing up some of this, make it a little bit sand, there's some loose soil in here as well, and obviously some sort of long grass as well in here, just in a few little places just to work it all out in there. And I think we do use more stone in the underneath the hard shelter because that's kind of what they needed a little bit in here. And then realising that I did want to get this mud bath in because this is one of the main enrichments I wanted, and I tried to get it here to work with that sort of viewpoint, and yeah, I do all of this and then I end up changing it all because I can't get the water back because I changed the terrain, and yeah, I just didn't like it, and so we end up having to completely redo the sort of that area, and we place it over here in this little corner, which I think works out okay. In here we do end up changing it up and creating sort of more rocks and stuff like that in here for it, but it looks out pretty good. In here, as I say, we just add more rocks and more sort of terrain work in here, and it kind of gives you a point of where you have to sort of come to this little corner in here. Now the way that the kind of the zoo works is you can, I mean, in a zoo you can kind of go anywhere. Obviously in COVID times they had like one-way systems and stuff, which I would really love, a one-way path in the zoo. It's just one thing that I've always kind of wanted in here, because entrance and exits, one-way paths would work really well for those sorts of things. I obviously know it's a kind of a very limited kind of niche item, but that is one thing that I would really like in an update, if anyone from Planet Zoo is listening. But anyway, having sort of this area here where you kind of walk around and you've kind of got this 3 sort of animal area in here, and you can kind of walk all the way around all 3 of them as well. Into here, obviously the other one is going to be a really long thing one coming along the back, but yeah, excited to see what we get in and do for that next time. But yeah, using these sort of pieces in here, these are actually the fake rocks that we got, and then just buffalo grass. Love the buffalo grass. Buffalo grass kind of goes in everywhere, because it just looks like normal grass, I've got to be fair. So it's sort of tucked in lots of sort of different places, and then just narrowed into the ground, and works out really well. It's kind of a rocky kind of area in here, and then we do get other plants on top as well, just to kind of add it in. So with the other habitat next door, we do kind of have like raised planters. In here it's kind of all on the ground, and the animals can kind of like walk around in them and stuff like that. Now these plants that we get in are plants that would grow in this biome, so they are North American, little hints of South American planting coming in as well, but they are mostly sort of North American plants, not necessarily what the animal would like, rather than what would actually grow in the biome, which is realistic. You might take an animal from Africa or somewhere and place it in a zoo in Europe, you're not going to get the same sort of planting, and that's kind of the same sort of thing that we're getting in here. We have an animal from one biome and we're placing it in a zoo in another, where its plants wouldn't really live. So that's kind of what we are getting in here, and trying to get some more enrichment in here. And little hack here, if anyone hasn't seen this, just add a little path circle where you kind of want it to be, and then you can actually place your enrichment without changing any of the terrain. I don't really know why it works, but it does, and actually doesn't interfere with the terrain. It doesn't change it when you delete the pathing in here either, so that works out really well. And yes, the animals can use the enrichment still, so that's really good into there. So getting in a few little feeders here and there. I think we end up with 5, possibly 6 animals in this habitat. I really struggled to get in the water. In the end we had to get water bowls, because I could not get the bigger ones or the sort of constant water supply, but we do have a keeper hut very close by, so I feel like they can be constantly topped up with water. And I have set up work zones, so this sort of whole area does actually have, I think there's about 4 keepers just for these 2 habitats at this moment. So you'll sort of see them constantly in and out checking on these animals as well. And yeah, over time we might end up with a few more staff members, but yeah, I don't necessarily think we'll put anything else in. I feel like we've kind of got sort of staff rooms, and we've got all that are close by, and we will be placing a sort of a larger sort of staff area, kind of like a vet hospital, kind of like administrative buildings and stuff like that. They are actually on the plan, and they are going to be built at some point. For now, they're just kind of the shells of the buildings are just sort of loosely thrown down in one little area off to the side of the map, but we'll slowly add in some of those as we go through different areas into here. And then this is some of the sort of more lush sort of planting we get in here as well, and realising there's no way that was going in there into here. And yeah, I feel like this habitat really works. It's kind of a mix of kind of open spaces where they've maybe eaten all of the planting down, and sort of areas where it's a little bit denser and the planting's there, maybe they don't like it, they can't eat it or whatever, and bits like that. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm wanting for this habitat. And now this area, this is actually one of the areas where they can enter and exit the water, so I kind of thought this would be like really muddy and stuff like that, so that's why there's lots of sort of grass over here, because I feel like they would like trample it and it's like constantly wet, so that's really what I wanted into here. And yeah, it's all coming together really well in here. But if you have enjoyed this video or even this series, then do give it a big thumbs up and comment down below and let me know what you're liking, what you're not liking, and all of that wonderful things. And yeah, I think it's going to be in a couple of weeks we'll be back with the third habitat in this sort of group in here. And as I said earlier, if you have an idea of what animal it's going to be, let me know, and we'll see if you're right in there. But you can subscribe to me here on YouTube, you can join me over on Twitch, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, X, whatever it's called nowadays, in there as well, and you'll keep up to date of when I upload any sort of videos or do anything like that as well. But I think we are very quickly coming up to the screenshots in the end here. So there's a little bit more planting coming in, and then I think we do end up using some more of the sort of buffalo grass rock work in here just to make it look a little bit better and a little bit less open. Although they are quite small, I feel like these sort of areas in here a little bit sort of it was a little bit too open, a little bit too barren, so I thought we'll just change it up a little bit and have some areas they can obviously just walk straight over the top of this, which is one of the good things, and it looks really good for sort of the animals, and yeah, into there. But I will leave you to enjoy the screenshots, and I'll see you all again really soon. But until then, stay happy and stay building. Bye everyone!